Topic is on chemical weapons. Some view them as a much quicker way to dissolve their wars. Others completely disagree with that. Some say it's more humane and ends disputes much quicker.
Why do some think it's more
It's
humane?
more humane because it ends wars much quicker and saves the lives of many civilians. First one I'm going to start off with is sulfur mustard, which is also known as HD or H. It's a dangerous vesicant, which is a blister agent. It is also known by its military designation as L. And it was first used by the Germans. And the Germans praised it for the psychological advantage it gave them.
What was the psychological
The
advantage?
weapon caused a lot of fear around anyone who was affected by it, such as like the British or the French.
Who did they use the gas
On
against?
July 12, 1917, a year before the end of World War I, the Germans decided that it was time to use a deadly gas against the British in Belgium.
How were people affected by sulfur mustard?
Gas can affect people through skin contact, eye contact, and inhalation.
Is there any extra precautions?
This gas is odorless, so many people don't have a clue what they're being attacked by. It can also contaminate water. This mustard can last 1 through 2 days in the environment under normal weather. Most of the fighting in World War I took place in Western Europe, which has a very cold climate, especially up towards Germany. The vapor is also heavier than the air, so it will settle in low-lying areas. And with that said, your best way to avoid it is to find higher ground.
Or the
Sulfur mustard damages a vital component of cells in the body, DNA. The effects depend on how long and how much sulfur mustard they were exposed to. Large exposure time or amount could be fatal. Finally, it affects a part of the nervous system that is responsible for everyday bodily function, causing something that is known as cholindric toxicity. Also causes gastrointestinal, which is responsible for the cramping and diarrhea the victim experiences.
I got a good idea about sulfur mustard.
Acidity causes excessive saliva, tears, and urine. As a liquid, it ranges in color from yellow to brown to colorless. As a vapor, it is completely colorless. It is made up of 4 carbon atoms, 8 hydrogen atoms, 2 chlorine atoms, and 1 sulfur atom. Its molecular mass is 159.08 grams per mole. It also reacts vigorously with oxidants, which are electron acceptors. Some examples would be oxygen, sulfur, and chlorine. There isn't much information on our next gas, lewisite, because it has rarely been used.
Came up with lewisite.
Vesicant was first synthesized in 1904 by Arthur Newland. The exposure he had with the compound made Newland so ill he was hospitalized for a few days. The United States managed to produce about 20,000 tons of lewisite, primarily as an antifreeze for mustard gas.
Does anyone use the gas?
This gas was first produced in 1918. It was supposed to be used in World War I, but it was too late. However, Japan managed to use lewisite and other toxic materials during the Second Sino-Japanese War, which also took place during World War II. The setting of the battle was in the province of Hunan in China. The Japanese, unable to overcome heavy Chinese resistance, resorted to poisonous attacks that contained lewisite, mustard gas, cyanide gas, and phosgene.
All people exposed by lewisite.
Just like sulfur mustard, through skin contact, eye contact, or breathing air that contains lewisite.
Or the effects.
Similar to sulfur mustard, the health effects depend on the amount people were exposed to, the length of time they were exposed to it, and the route of exposure, which is how they got affected. It immediately damages the skin, eyes, and respiratory tract. The signs and symptoms immediately follow after exposure. On the skin, pain and irritation starts within seconds to minutes. Redness within 15 to 30 minutes, followed by blister formation within several hours. The blister begins as a small blister in the middle of the red area and then expands as a small blister in the middle. The blister begins as a small blister in the middle of the red areas and then expands to cover the entire reddened area of the skin. The sores from lewisite heal much faster than sores caused by the other blistering agents such as sulfur mustard. Your eyes will start swelling and irritating. Other symptoms are runny nose, sneezing, hoarseness, bloody nose, sinus pain, shortness of breath, cough, diarrhea, and vomiting. But unlike sulfur mustard, lewisite is not known to suppress or weaken the immune system. Lewisite is made up of 2 carbon atoms, 3 hydrogen atoms, 1 arsenic atom, and 3 chlorine atoms. Smaller mass is 207.32 grams per mole. In liquid form, it is oily and colorless. In its impure form, it can range from color from amber to black. Most dangerous gas agents are the nerve agents. One would be sarin gas. Agents are the most toxic and rapidly acting of the known chemical warfare.
How are people exposed to sarin gas? Who came up with sarin gas?
Sarin gas was originally developed in 1938 in Germany by 2 scientists attempting to create stronger pesticides, which is why sarin is similar in nature to pesticides.
Sarin gas ever been used?
On March 20, 1995, in Tokyo, Japan, a radical religious group known as the Aum Shinrikyo, which is Supreme Truth, attacked the Tokyo subway system, the busiest subway system in the world. A cult member carried 2 or 3 bags of sarin in liquid form, tightly enclosed in plastic, and then wrapped in newspapers. The cult members then dropped their bags on the floors of the trains, and with their umbrellas they punctured holes through the plastic, and as the liquid poured out of the holes, it spread onto the train floors and started to turn into toxic gas. Victims, unaware that they have been exposed to the odorless sarin gas, helped spread the toxic gas throughout the entire subway system. Sarin gas can also cling to your clothes for up to 30 minutes.
How does it affect people?
If you're lucky, you'll only experience the lighter effects, which are runny noses, watery eyes, blurred vision, coughing, rapid breathing, drowsiness, diarrhea, confusion, constricted pupils, vomiting, slow or fast heartbeat, drooling or excessive sweating, or positive effects by preventing the proper operation of the chemical that acts as the body's off switch for glands and muscles. And without an off switch, the glands and muscles are constantly being stimulated, and they may tire and no longer be able to sustain breathing function, which is such a gross overdose. And exposure to large doses may lead to loss of consciousness, convulsion, or spasms, or seizures, or respiratory failure. Sarin is made up of 4 carbon atoms, 10 hydrogen atoms, 1 fluorine atom, 2 oxygen atoms, and 1 phosphorus atom. Its molar mass is 140.09 grams per mole. It is clear and colorless in both liquid and vapor form.
Are any of these gases still being used?
Earlier this year, the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad threatened his own people with chemical weapons that contained sarin gas. The war against deadly gases is still not over. However, lewisite and sulfur mustard haven't been used recently.